It's Friday, and that means it's time for RPG News of the Week. Well, starting today, that's what it means. If you're a dragon fetishist who squealed with unsettling delight when the Dragonborn first appeared as a playable species in D&D, and then moaned in otherworldly joy when Roll for Combat published their first Battle Zoo Dragon book, then have I got news for you. They've now launched a Kickstarter for 4 new 5e and Pathfinder supplements and a series called Battle Zoo Secret Dragons, expanding the concept even further. Each book introduces a so-called family of dragons, offering players a chance to play as a dragon from one of these groups. This is a major breakthrough change to fantasy gaming. Just imagine a party of dragon PCs terrorizing the countryside, burning everything they see, living in the ruins of strangers, stealing and then sleeping on massive piles of loot. Okay, I guess it doesn't bring that much that's new. But who says RPG players just want to terrorize and destroy? Well, Mana Project Studio does, as they've launched a Kickstarter for their project, the Elder Mythos role-playing game. In this game, rather than being their hapless victims, players step into the role of the Elder Gods themselves. There's no such thing as a campaign here, really, as each game is designed to only last a single session. Mana Project Studio says conflict between the playing entities is not only possible, but an integral part of the game system. The game uses collaborative world building so that players both build and destroy a world together in a charming distillation of the story of humanity itself. And speaking of cosmic mysteries, in an April Fool's Day prank this week, Paizo announced a book covering the mysterious lost period of history of their Starfinder game setting known as The Gap. The book covers everything known about The Gap, which means it's empty. In a display of just how out of control FOMO can get, Starfinder fans demanded the book be made real so they could get a copy of a publication they knew would contain no content beyond the front and back matter. Not one to let their fans down, Paizo has come through with a free PDF of the Gap supplement containing 128 blank pages. But you can also actually buy a print copy of it now on Paizo's site, and as a book containing nothing but blank pages at $14.99, it's still a better value prospect than the Trump Bibles. The new D&D LEGO sets already offer toys combining franchises beloved by adults who never truly matured past childhood, and now you can also download a free LEGO-themed 5e adventure called Red Dragon's Tale. You can get it on D&D Beyond, and it contains instructions to build the D&D LEGO set in sections as you go through the adventure, using the minifigs as your character's miniatures. The adventure also contains a section on how to play through it without any D&D rules or source books, with no action economy, highly abstracted damage tracking, and rules for in-game actions that alter the terrain. So there are almost no rules at all. Or you could, just admit you're a child and play with the Legos like you used to. Modiphius has released a source book for their Dune RPG called Fall of the Imperium. This book is an adventure recreating the story of the original Dune novel, in which players do not play the heroes of the main story, but instead are tertiary characters caught up in the larger events over which the players have little control. RPG Rundown has received a promo copy of the pre-gen characters for this adventure, including Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, and Ned Stark. In a recent interview on NPR's podcast, Here and Now, Anytime, Hasbro CEO Chris Cox spun some of the controversies surrounding Hasbro's handling of D&D and Magic the Gathering as positive developments. He claims that the increased pace of Magic sets is something customers want, and that it expands the game, letting more people play. He also said that, rather than damaging the brand, Hasbro's pivot on their threatened OGL hardline attempt last year has actually resulted in goodwill from D&D fans because Hasbro listened to them and changed course. Asked about December's layoffs, Cox said that they were mostly concentrated on the company's slowly dying toy business, and that the layoffs from Wizards of the Coast were the result of, quote, changing priorities. AI wasn't discussed in this interview, nor was the Pinkertons debacle from last year, but Cox did say he's been playing D&D since 1983 and Magic since 95. He said, "We think about this as stewards of the brands who came to it, not just as business people or designers, but as fans of these brands. So it stands to reason that, just like the controlling, rabid, toxic fans of anything as nerdy as our hobby, the goal is ultimately to ruin it for everybody." I'm Dave, and this has been your RPG News Update.